Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. Let me make sure I'm up. This is a 10 a.m. morning show. Hopefully people can find me here. The internet access was updated yesterday, so I'm hoping that there are no issues with it today. Let me see, make sure my sound is good. By the way, guys, some people say that they get disconnected, or not disconnected, but that the notification doesn't necessarily hit. So please subscribe if you're not subscribed, and please hit the notification bell. Please hit the notification bell just to, when to get a heads up for the show. I do the show pretty much all the time. And let's see, my levels are good. My sound is good. Perfect. So this show wasn't necessarily planned. I have two notebooks full of things that I want to talk about. But perusing on Twitter, I come across this. Now, I can be somewhat tribal. Even though I try to be above, political stuff, I can be somewhat tribal in the way I see certain people, even when I don't necessarily know those people. I consider those people in my sandbox. I'm a human being. I'm a product of this society, is what it is. Glen Greenwald. I am a big fan of Glen Greenwald, and I've been a big fan of Glen Greenwald for years. Glen Greenwald is being attacked by an MSNBC former intelligence officer, and going by his own words, a former Jedi master. I have no idea what that means. I would imagine some kind of former spook on MSNBC, a bought show. He's a paid show on MSNBC. He was on Joy Reid's show, giving quote unquote intelligence, giving intelligence to Joy Reid. Some of the intelligence that he was giving to Joy Reid was wrong, by the way. Completely wrong. He didn't know what the hell he was talking about. Didn't stop him one iota from giving that particular intelligence, him attacking Jill Stein. I'm going to show you what I mean by this. But let me show you what was said first. And let's talk about it after. Because I'm greatly annoyed by this. And so I want to have some fun with Mr. Malcolm Nance. So this is the guy. Oh, my thing is backwards. All right, give me 1 second, guys. And this needs to go here. And right here. Here we are. This is the guy. This cat. Malcolm Nance. The technical term in Moscow, a useful idiot. Now, what is Malcolm Nance referring to? What is he talking about? Let's open it up. He's talking about Glen Greenwald. Glen Greenwald said, "The Washington Post today accurately notes that inconvenient, narrative undermining fact. The Trump administration has been more willing to confront Russia and defy Putin than previous president was." I didn't write this news article. Glen Greenwald is literally pointing to something that the Washington Post said and saying, yes, the Washington Post is accurately reporting something that's true. That's what he said. That's all he said. I'm agreeing with the Washington Post here. The Washington Post is accurately saying that Donald Trump is actually confronting Russia in more hostile ways than the previous administration. Jeff Garvin promoting Trump once again. So even pointing out something that the Washington Post said is true is promoting Trump. Okay. But Malcolm Nance here completely jumps the shark on this. This guy who looks like he hasn't paid child support in 3 years. That guy. His response to that is promoting Trump once again. The technical term in Moscow is useful idiot. He's a Russian plant. He's helping Russia. By pointing out something that the Washington Post said was true, that he is somehow a useful idiot for Vladimir Putin and working for the Kremlin. Let's take a look at who this guy is. So let's flip back. Let's check his Twitter profile. U.S. quote-unquote intelligence, 36 years, quote-unquote expert, terrorist strategy, tactics, ideology, torture, Russian cyber, baker, candlestick maker, haberdasher, Senior Chief and Jedi Master. He's a Jedi Master. That's awesome. New York Times best-selling author. All right. NBC, MSNBC. And this is the part I want to talk about, MSNBC. He's a baker, maker, candlestick maker, haberdasher, and Jedi Master. Great. That's great. He has a high opinion of himself. So, on fair kicking ass, stoking Russian panic for partisan gain would have a long-term price for peace. On Saturday's episode of AM Joy with Joy and Reed, guest Malcolm Nance, a former naval intelligence officer, summed up MSNBC's Russia panic with this quote. Joy Reed, because from what I've seen, the only people not with Hillary Clinton at this point are people in the Jill Stein camp. Jill Stein was sitting at Putin's table right with General Flynn. Jill Stein has a show on Russia Today. Does she? That's news to me. So the 36-year intelligence officer is just spouting shit that he has no idea what he's talking about. Is he lying or is he incompetent? My question is always the same. Are they lying or are they incompetent? Which one? There is no other. It's a binary choice. There are not other factors in this. Either he is lying or he is utterly and completely incompetent. The 36-year intelligence officer who doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Is it possible that the intelligence officer who is either lying or incompetent doesn't know what he's talking about when he's saying that Glen Greenwald is a Russian plane? Here's the point. The very article that they're talking about, that Glen Greenwald made the point that the Washington Post is right about, is the fact is that Donald Trump has been funding neo-Nazis in the Ukraine. Those Nazis are going to use those weapons that Donald Trump has been funneling to these guys to kill Russians. Do you understand that? Even with Donald Trump taking us out of Syria, it doesn't necessarily mean that he's not working with his allies. Britain comes out screaming at the top of their lungs that somebody has poisoned a spy. Now the daughter, who's supposed to be poisoned by this military-grade poison, is getting better. Nobody else is ill. Nobody else is real ill. They couldn't find anybody else ill. And the spy is getting better, or the daughter is getting better, and the spy is in stable condition. A military-grade poison that is literally supposed to kill, literally designed to kill and murder within a short period of time. No one else has seen any evidence. Theresa May screams it at the top of her lungs, and yet the United States, in coordination with the other nations, are getting rid of their people. I mean, getting rid of delegates. Beyond the getting rid of delegates, the United States goes into Syria and said, we are staying in Syria. Now, Donald Trump has come out recently saying we're pulling our troops out, but nobody knows how long that's going to take. Nobody knows when that's taking place. And in the meantime, we are still pushing these NATO nations to expend more and more cash, and these guys are building up on those borders. Let's be honest. Regardless of what these guys want to say about Donald Trump being a Russian or Putin agent, he's not looked like a Putin agent, or he has been the worst Vladimir Putin puppet in the history of Vladimir Putin puppets. Ridiculous. By the way, this guy's hawking a book. He's hawking a book. Let me guess the title. It's my spy thriller. Paste book. How Russian intelligence hacked the 2016 election. Is it possible that the person who's Joanne Reed pushing the Russia narrative is motivated to push the Russian narrative because he has a book? And will there be ever a point that even if in 10 years they cannot show Russia influencing the election? Russia had no influence on this election. Nobody in their right mind would say Russia had an influence on the election. And yet this guy's talking about. Would Nance, would he ever come out and say, you know what, I was wrong? It's been 2 years. All of these intelligence services have been looking into this. All of these people, these news agencies have been motivated to find something on this. And they found no collusion between Trump and Russia. And what they found were a bunch of Twitter and Facebook ads. And these Twitter and Facebook ads had no impact on the election. And even if you want to give all of the wildest dreams that Nance and Rachel Maddow and all of these guys have, you're still stuck with this reality that we have done far worse in other countries than Facebook and Twitter ads. You guys are clowns. You guys are clowns. Asking real questions about something that has major geopolitical consequences, at least particularly with this idea of the hysteria that you, your friend Joanne Reed, your other hack Rachel Maddow are creating, would have disastrous consequences. You're pushing him from the left, supposedly. You're actually being neocons. But you're acting as if you're some agent of the left in the Democratic Party, pushing him to a hostile position with Russia. A position by you, mind you, that in many respects he's already been taking. You guys are clowns. Glen Greenwald is a fucking lion. If you had an ounce of integrity that Glen Greenwald had, you would in no way make certain accusations in this, calling the guy a Putin puppet for asking fucking questions. You guys are hacks. You guys are absolute hacks. Talking about Glen Greenwald as a Russian agent. You're a goddamn useful idiot. The fact is, Hillary Clinton, look, again, whether you're incompetent or whether you're corrupt, I don't know which it is. I don't know which it is. I don't care which it is. The fact is, they were allowed to get Hillary Clinton off, who should have been convicted because she was guilty of sin. Anybody in their right mind can look at the evidence and look and say she was guilty of sin. Comey got up there and lied through his teeth about letting that woman off the hook. Now tell me, intelligence officer of 36 years, intent has nothing to do with it. She was guilty. They used a different standard to get her off than they used to convict the person, Nakamura or Nishimura, just the year prior. So explain to me, intelligence officer of 36 years. Explain to me. Explain to me. Put your quote-unquote intelligence training to work. If Comey is up there and Comey is lying about something, if he's lying, if he's changing the standard, if he's lying, what is lying evidence of? What is he guilty of? What is he trying to hide? What is he trying to cover? Explain to me, intelligence officer. If Comey is lying about this, why is Comey lying about this, and what is Comey trying to cover? That woman should have been convicted. And not only she should have been convicted, the fact that Comey got up there and Comey lied through his teeth about it, it's an evidence of something, some kind of foul play. Now, everybody that was connected with getting Trump hooked on, meaning getting this kind of connection between Trump and Russia, had some connection to the Hillary camp. Whether it was the person that tipped them off or whether it was the agents that got her off. Explain to me, intelligence officer. What is this evidence of? This is evidence of somebody trying to hide something. Now, I understand you have a book. I understand you have certain engagements associated with the book, meaning you don't necessarily want to say or do anything that's going to repudiate whatever you put in your book. Fair enough. But certainly, even with the biased point of view where you're monetized sitting on Joanne Reed and MSNBC to take a particular point of view of things, even you, I would imagine you can see, if you weren't being paid, if you weren't sitting on Joanne Reed, if you weren't sitting on MSNBC, if you weren't a Democrat, if all of those factors were taken away, and at 3 a.m. talking to you on whatever God you believe in, if you were engaged with this information, you too would think something smells here. Something smells. Even if you were right, which you have not demonstrated that you were right one iota, but even if you were right, what Glen Greenwald is asking is being a loyal advocate. You guys are putting forth a hypothesis. You have not demonstrated that hypothesis. And Glen Greenwald, over and over and over again, are making the point that you have not demonstrated your hypothesis. It is an obfuscation to throw in this Vladimir Putin thing because it has nothing to do with the fucking argument that he's making to you. And the fact is that the reason you use Putin is because his argument can't be impeached. What he's saying to you is unvarnishedly true. And the fact that you can't deal with that particular truth, Vladimir Putin, Russia, Putin, Russia, it shows that there is a flaw in your hypothesis, that there's a problem with your hypothesis, that you can't back that hypothesis up when it's being cross-examined. This useful idiot or corrupt actor, I don't know which one, he's incompetent or he's corrupt. This guy standing here with the globe in his hand and these comic book Ray Charles glasses. Nance, Malcolm Nance. MSNBC bought and tool and hack Malcolm Nance. I'm not going to keep this one long. This is a video of me venting frustration at fucking idiots who are supposed to be quote-unquote intelligence experts ragging on people in ways that have nothing to do with the arguments that they're making to you. He's making a straightforward argument to you. And your response to this is, that guy's a Putin puppet. you're hysterical. And you're a fucking idiot and you're a hack. That's what I think. I think you're a hack. I think you're hacking a book and a hack bought on MSNBC with a particular narrative that you're motivated and monetized to take on. That's what I think. That's precisely what I think. Let's see. Yeah, don't worry, your daughter will be fine in 8 days. They poisoned the spy with a military-grade poison. Military-grade poison. It's the shit they spray over people in order to murder and kill those people. But the spy is in stable condition. And the daughter is recovering. Is their nerve agents less potent than what they used to be? What the fuck? Are they telling me that Russia is incompetent in the way that they create their nerve agents? What are they saying? This makes no sense. None of this makes sense. And Glen Greenwald pointing out something that the Washington Post said was true. So is Washington Post also a Kremlin agent? What are you saying? It's fucking ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Jeremy Chase, gonna have to keep an eye on this Jamal character. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. So many goblins, so little time. Who you telling? Kalita, Tim and everyone knows the pen is mightier than the sword. Jesse Hoffer. The thing is, they subconsciously want to believe the truth, so they see info analysis to back up their own opinion. Yeah, they have a cognitive bias. Agreed. Look, the cognitive bias, everyone has it to some degree. Everyone. I mean, it depends on what you actually want versus what you're actually seeing. That's true for everyone. I'm just making a short point. What Glen Greenwald is asking are questions. And they don't want to deal with the questions he's asking. And so it's easier to say, I don't want to confront what you're saying to me, because what you're saying to me puts a dent in the thing that I'm putting out there. So I'm just going to say you're a Russian agent. I'm just going to smear you as a Russian agent. Neo-McCarthyism. McCarthyism 2.0. But a weaker, shittier version of McCarthyism. A weaker, shittier version of McCarthyism. Oh, wow. Wesley Walker Jr., thank you, man. Leave a comment, Wesley. Leave a comment. If you're going to donate, leave a comment. That Malcolm Nance jab was unfunny but funny. Well, it was unfair but funny. It was, Bernard Foster, you're right. I shouldn't have said that he looked like he hadn't paid child support. That's unfair. That's unfair. But yes, it was funny. It was unfair, though. Jeremy Jones, check his book on his top tweets. Need the thriller pace to make the narrative believable, eh? Or to make it watchable. Yes, I'm sorry for saying that it looks like he hasn't paid child support in 3 months. That's unfair. That's unfair. That's really unfair. That is profoundly unfair. That's profoundly unfair. Funny. It was funny. And yes, I'm laughing when I'm apologizing, but still, it's unfair. Oh, that's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. The United States kills civilians to herd the masses. MJ Wing. He has got to have very low self-esteem. Martin Harnett. No, Martin, I bet his self-esteem is fucking awesome. He's getting paid a lot of money to sit on MSNBC to spew all sorts of stuff. And there's a lot of hillbots and people who need this narrative. Need this narrative to be true. Oh my God. How did this woman, who is the most qualified woman in the history of our physical matter reality, of most physical matter realities, even of unphysical matter realities, if they knew what was good for them, those unphysical matter realities would have brought on Hillary Clinton to run their unphysical matter reality. That's how good she was. And she lost her reality show host. There had to be some reason. There has to be some nefarious motive. There had to be something else that would cause this woman to lose the reality show host. Twitter or Huffington Post had her winning by 98% to 2%. There has to be some other reason. Russia, you say. Russia, you say. That fucking Vladimir Putin and those hackers. Okay, those Twitter trolls. They made those fucking Facebook and Twitter ads. God damn them! They toppled the election for Hillary Clinton and her $1 billion campaign. Those $50,000 in Facebook and Twitter ads. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, it's great. George Pagog, maybe 2 months, 3 months is stretching it. Yeah, I doubt that. Not a very articulate or educated would probably end up sounding stupid. not very articulate or educated, would probably end up sounding stupid. I'm sorry. This one wasn't supposed to be this kind of contextual thing. This was me being annoyed that Nance is attacking what's his name. So, no, Wes, it wasn't necessarily my most articulate or quote-unquote educated. Will you cover the recent sham, I think you're trying to say sham election in Egypt? Bernard Foster. Where's my pen? Sham election in Egypt. I'll check it out. Yeah, I'll check it out, Bernard. I'll check it out. Somebody put together a different 1 year or so ago, but this one really hammered home the danger in our democracy. Look, it's problematic what they're doing. I mean, honestly, it is extremely problematic in what they're doing. They've created a hysteria across the nation that Russia somehow did something to us. Like some of these guys on Chris Hayes lent his airwaves to people screaming about 9/11, that this was the 9/11, that this was Pearl Harbor, and that Donald Trump wasn't doing anything. I mean, this is the stuff that they're hammering home. You have 30% of the population, a bunch of heelbots, thinking that Russia attacked us. Please tell me that's not problematic. What does it look like when you get a bunch of Democrats in office? They're talking about a Democrat winning, or Democrats winning the election in a blue wave. What does that mean? What does that mean? Does that mean that they're going to impeach Trump in order to get Mike Pence, a savior of Mike Pence? What does it mean if a Democrat wins office? Doesn't that automatically position us hostile towards a nuclear-powered nation? They did this stuff for political effect, but this has a wider geopolitical consequence. This is not just about Hillary Clinton. This becomes, what is the United States' position from a geopolitical standpoint against a nuclear power? What is it? That's a big fucking deal. Like they're acting as if this is purely just political stuff. Cenk Uygur talking about Nerf bombs. There are no such thing as Nerf bombs. If a bomb blows up, that bomb blows up. There were people that were killed and Donald Trump firing those missiles off. This is problematic. This is extraordinarily problematic. Chinty, one accident away from war. Yes. This is majorly fucking consequences. None of this stuff is just, think back to World War I. You realize those families were intermingled. Germany, England, those families were intermingled. They were cousins. They were cousins. What was taking place in Russia? Same thing. They were related. Many of those places thought there would be some level of stability because they were related. They were kings and queens and kingdoms and whatnot. They were interrelated kingdoms through marriage. It didn't stop the world from going to war. Didn't stop it one iota. The person in Russia, I can't think of his name right now, he was shocked as shit of what was taking place. Couldn't believe it. He had the indignity of losing his power because he had to give up some power to the proletariat, you can say, or the workers, or just the human beings in the culture, because the world, the Russia itself was pushing against the monarch, and he had to respond, which he opened the Duma. Fair enough. Then he had the second indignity of, I can't believe that this is taking place. Can't believe it. We're going to war. I'm making the point to you that many cultures are shocked as shit in the way that they tumble into war. Many of them are. Be very aware of what is taking place. The ramp up to the Iraq War. Do you remember that? Do you remember the ramp up? Well, one thing after the next, after the next, after the next. And there was these dispersions. It's like, well, we're talking to this, and Britain is trying to do this, and this place is trying to do that. None of that stuff mattered. The ramp up was already in effect. There's another way of doing that too, where some event takes place in the world, something happens, something sparks, which causes this kind of tumbling down effect, where you're responding purely in response to somebody else. One country gets involved, another country gets involved, you have an alliance with somebody else, that country gets involved. And you've tumbled and pulled yourself into a larger conflict that you have no idea how you got into that larger conflict. You need to be very aware of the events that take place in your larger world, especially with the internal politics of your nation. They've created a hysteria. This guy, part and parcel to the people helping to create a hysteria that Russia did something to us. Russia didn't do anything to us. especially considering what we've done to other countries and what we've done around the world. This guy's a clown. This guy's an utter and absolute clown. And these people are problematic and dangerous. That's my thought. So, I'm not going to keep this one long. I have a list of shows that I wanted to do today, but this was on my list because this annoyed the shit out of me when I read it. So, Glen Greenwald is fucking lying. In fact, Greenwald is asking questions that need to be asked. They need to be asked. It's loyal opposition. If you want to consider that the mainstream narrative for this is Russia hacking, okay. Loyal opposition in any political context, it's not just necessary. It's fucking patriotic. So, I'm going to end this here. I have a series of these videos that I'm going to be doing throughout the day. So, please keep an ear out and please stand by. The next one is probably going to be up in about 10 minutes. And I know sometimes my 10 minutes is longer than 10 minutes, but it's going to be about 10 minutes. So I will see you guys then. Guys, thank you all for the donations. Let's see. Wesley Walker Jr., Bernard Foster, Jeremy Jones, and Bernard Foster again, and Wesley Walker Jr. Guys, thank you very much. You guys are immensely appreciated. Wesley, my wife, is working on your shirt right now. I need to get the address from you and everything else, so I think you sent me that, but I'll check it out. My wife is making these, but I'm looking at places to actually make these essentially in bulk because there are a lot of t-shirts that I want to make. So I will get back to you guys on that. So, all right, guys, I'm going to end this here. Yes, not necessarily the most contextual video that I think I've ever made, but it wasn't meant to be contextual. My goal in this was, you're a hack if you're going to attack Glen Greenwald for something that he's doing that is patriotic and absolutely loyal opposition, and pushing back on a narrative that you guys have not proven and have not demonstrated to be true. You can't call him a Russian agent. You can't call him a Kremlin puppet. You can't call him any of that stuff. Facts and questions. And if you feel you need to do that, that means you're obfuscating from something else. That something else being that your argument has immense flaws in the argument. The only way you would do that is if you were trying to dodge from the actual issue that Greenwald is pointing out. What you're saying does not relate to the objective real world. And you guys are doing this because you have come up with this Russia hysteria nonsense that all of you are motivated to believe in, either through your paradigm of the world or either through the money in your wallet. I'll leave it at that. All right, guys. If you enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe, and of course, you guys can always support the Patreon. Thanks, everyone.